Welcome back. For decades, the Egyptians suffered hepatic diseases. And for decades, hepatitis C was prevailing. And in just a few years, we did it. And we are going, inshallah, that soon to be declared free of hepatitis C. To shed more light on this and on the important achievement, we are very much delighted and honored to have with us via phone Dr. Muhammad Awad, Presidential Advisor for Health Affairs. Thank you very much for being with us, Dr. Taguddin.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
Sir, it's really an achievement, and we all know that the health of the Egyptians is one of the priorities of our political leadership. And since the launching of the presidential initiative, 100 million healthy lives, it was a real foundation for getting rid of hepatitis C. To have 6,000 units at least scattered all over Egypt to examine Egyptians and to help in achieving this was a real achievement. If you please elaborate on that and to what extent the presidential initiative was the real base or the very first step in a long way.
Definitely the eradication of one of the severe chronic viral infections, which is hepatitis C. And as you know, this virus, up till now, there is no definite vaccine to protect the people from this virus. So that the achievement to eradicate the viral infections, including the important viral infection C, which is one of the hepatic viruses, is a real achievement because unfortunately the infection with this disease can lead to chronic hepatic failure, and the patients with the disease were in bad conditions and gradual increase in their symptoms and signs and the complications. So that the capability of the Egyptians to eradicate the disease is one of the real achievements. All patients, and the second important point that the treatment was available for any patient free of charge, and we are able with the international companies to produce the drug here in Egypt, in Egyptian pharmaceuticals, so that the availability and affordability for the country was a good achievement.
And when it comes to medication, meaning that we are speaking about the patients, but how to prevent the spread of hepatitis C? I mean, to spread awareness among the people, how to take the preventive measures not to be infected. I think that this is also...
This question is a very important question. I understand what you mean. Because the infection is, the spread of this infection is through contamination with the blood or certain secretions of the infected persons, so that with infection control, with very safe blood and its products, with safe injections, especially intravenous infection and also other infections, all of these points are parallel to treat the patients. Because as you mentioned, treatment of the patient is one stage, but prevention of reinfection or reinfection of other non-infected peoples is another important issue.
Yes,
so that parallel the improvement in the health sector, including the very safe measures, as I mentioned to you, this is a good achievement.
Amen to that, sir. And to add to this, I don't know, would you please correct me if I'm wrong, it can be transferred from a mother to a baby during labor?
It's very rare, but it can, anything can happen. But this is not a common method of infection, but definitely the blood of the mother is connected all during not only during labor, but also the blood of the mother is connected to the fetus, so that any possibility of some infection is one of the possibilities. But this is not the commonest way of infection. As I mentioned, the commonest way is through blood or contaminated.
I'm asking these questions, sir, if you permit me, because I want to reach the layman in the street, the very simple citizen. Many people would think that, oh, maybe I was infected because of the contaminated tools of a dentist, for example. Others would say that...
I told you that it is all of now the infection control is one of the priorities of the health sectors. Any intervention through surgical intervention or dental intervention, or even during circumcision, all of these were methods for transmission of or shaving. Sometimes shaving outside the home can lead to infection. So that all of these methods, any contamination of blood or its products, or any transfer of infection from affected person through any wounds or interventions, either surgical or non-surgical, all of these were methods for transmission of the disease.
Sir, this is going to lead us to speak about the role of the NGOs in spreading awareness with all what you've kindly mentioned. How is the coordination and the cooperation between the state and the NGOs to reach this point or to achieve this goal on the ground?
It is basically the role of the health sector, but by education through media or through NGOs or through conferences or meetings, all of these methods to transfer. And then I know now that everybody in the country knows that there is treatment for hepatitis C, and millions of people were treated and received a successful treatment with very successful results. And the point is not finished here, but there is a strict follow-up for the treated patients to be sure that there is complete cure and there is no recurrence of disease. And now we have the measures to prevent transfer of this or other diseases during the interventions, either surgical or blood transfusion or dental the interventions, etc.
And of course, our health plan is that comprehensive, despite the fact that, thank God, we succeeded in facing COVID-19 with all its negative repercussions and all the effects right after that with the many variants of the virus. We did both altogether, or we are implementing our comprehensive health plan all together. If you want to elaborate on that.
Definitely. With the very high political commitment, very high support to the health sector, all of the presidential achievement in implementing many different methods for the health care and the financial support, which is unique, not happened before. All of these measures supporting the health sector. And now, if you look to the new generations, you know that we have, in average, 2.4 million new births every year. They are healthy. They receive antenatal care. They receive natal care and postnatal care, vaccination, detection of any congenital or acquired diseases, and there is a strict follow-up during the early life for the children and or infants, and then
dwarfing diseases, visual or audio impairments. This is exactly what I wanted to mention, that we are taking care of every single thing related to the health of the Egyptian citizen, with all age categories, with all genders, you name it. But sir, because of this, and in many occasions, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi was keen to say, and is keen to say, that Egypt is ready to exchange expertise regarding these issues, in specific with our brotherly nations, particularly in Africa. Would you please elaborate on that?
We have a strong commitment to Africa. We have very strong commitment to the region. so that we support Africa from different aspects, including the health sector aspects, including the care of the patients, detection of diseases, supply of some pharmaceuticals, and exchange of knowledge and some expertise from Egypt to visit many African countries. And we will receive some of our colleagues from Africa to be trained here in Egypt, so that this is a high political commitment from His Excellency, the President of Egypt, with Africa. And during, as you mentioned, during COVID, the era of COVID pandemic, we have very strong commitment to Africa to give them some pharmaceuticals, to give them some equipments, and also we supply Africa with some vaccines produced here in Egypt.
Yes.
So the commitment with Africa is one of the important political issue, and it is very important for our colleagues and our friends in Africa to give them the strong support.
And our drugs proved their efficiency in treating many diseases, not only the hepatitis C or similar viral infections. But, sir, if you permit me, I'd like also to focus on another issue regarding the African commitment, as you've kindly mentioned or named it. I think we are the only country who are not speaking about refugees or to name refugees as refugees. They are our guests, despite the fact that they reached millions right now, but the refugees are receiving, or our guests are receiving, the health treatment or the health care service as the Egyptians, in addition to, of course, the other services. But here, of course, I should seize the opportunity, having the privilege to have you, sir. I'd like to add more to this, that our refugees are being treated, whether from hepatitis C or other diseases, as any Egyptian citizen.
Definitely. And from the first point, we start to treat, to diagnose any patient from them, to detect any underlying disease, either infectious or non-infectious, and to give them all the facilities to receive the diagnosis and treatment, and even the vaccination for the children. For example, our colleagues or our friends coming from Sudan, all the children from the day 1 to 18 to 15 years already they received the vaccination against poliomyelitis. We detect any viral infection or bacterial infection like tuberculosis or any other disease, and any patient diagnosed with any of the mentioned diseases, they receive the full treatment, full diagnosis and the full treatment. The second point you raised about the Egyptian pharmaceuticals, we produce a very good amount of different categories of the pharmaceuticals, and 2 or 3 days ago, Zimbabwe received a good amount of Egyptian pharmaceuticals to the country of Zimbabwe, and I attended this meeting, and also many of the Egyptian drugs, which is very high standard, very high quality, very efficient, under GMP, which is a good manufacturing practice. We export some of our medications to African countries.
Sir, if you permit me, I have 2 more questions. I know I'm taking much time, but I should seize the opportunity since you're here. The General Director of the World Health Organization, General Tedros Adhanom, said that the detection or the early detection of more than 63 million citizens in just 7 months is going to be declared already the largest health survey in human history in terms of quality, proficiency, and speed. I think that we should be all proud of such statements released by the WHO Director General. If you want to elaborate on that and tell us more about these statements.
You must know that we in Egypt, in different aspects, including the medical aspects, we have a very high capabilities. You must know that. So that when the situation is well organized in system and in scientific way, we have a very good achievement in many other aspects. You must remember that we were able and capable to eradicate poliomyelitis from Egypt. Mm-hmm. You must know that we have the possibility to eradicate measles from Egypt. Mm-hmm. We must know that we eradicate malaria from Egypt.
Yeah.
And we protect the country.
Polio. No, I don't think that polio is found anymore.
But I told you, we eradicate polio from Egypt.
Yep. Sorry. I'm sorry, sir.
Eradication. No polio in Egypt. No malaria in Egypt. No measles in Egypt.
Yep.
So that the achievement in health sector and preventive sector is very, very important. And you mentioned now that the WHO mentioned that it's a very good achievement. Yes, it's a very good achievement.
Yep.
But also, when we eradicate poliomyelitis from Egypt, it was a very high achievement at that time.
Amen.
So that this is to reach a statement that Egypt is capable by the country, capable by political commitment, capable by support of His Excellency President and the government, and capable by the capability of our staff from the medical sector.
One final question, sir. Sir, you are one of our professors when it comes to chest disease. And many are speaking now about this ARIS issue, one of the variants of COVID. We all know that we are going to live with the variants of COVID because this is going to continue and to wane to be just one of the influenza diseases or viruses we take, and as the French are saying, en passant, like that. Can we send a message to Egyptians that if even this is taking place, it's something normal or it's something which we are going to live with and nothing serious anymore?
I will give you, if you permit me, a small lecture about COVID-19. COVID or coronavirus is one of the respiratory viral infections. But what happened in 2019, it is a new strain from coronavirus, which already spread all over the world, leads to this pandemic. But as we are chest physicians, we know that coronavirus is one of the respiratory viral infections. Now we have many viral infections, but usually with similar or identical manifestations, so that everybody told you or me, you have influenza or common cold. Influenza virus is one of the respiratory viral infections.
Yep.
And there is many strains of influenza virus. There is A, B, C, D, etc. And the many strains of respiratory syncytial virus, and the many strains of coronavirus. So that all of these viruses are already present all over the world, and anyone can be infected with one of the viruses. So that the diagnosis of the disease, usually it takes some few days until a full-blown picture of the disease is manifested on the patients. So that it's recommended to avoid any complications or any spread of the disease. You must take the precautions when you're infected with one of the viral infections, because you need to be completely treated. You need to be treated without any complications, and we need to not to spread your infection to your family or your colleagues or the other persons.
And this
So
is
that
available and can
prophylaxis
be
is
done
very
on
important.
Yeah.
Take the measures, preventive measures is very important. If you are able to be at home in small isolation for 1 or 2 days using the hygienic methods, I think you can prevent any complication from viral infections.
Sir, I can't thank you enough, and you are always an added value to our programs. We are very much delighted. We were very much delighted to have you with us, sir, Professor Dr. Mohammed Tajuddin, Presidential Advisor for Health Affairs and Professor of Pulmonology. Well, thank you, sir. Have a very good day. Right after the short break, we are going to return back with more, so stay tuned.